From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welsh and John Stoughtenger.
Well, thank you for tuning in, folks. We have a unique situation. I'm here and Rob isn't. Usually he's here and I'm not. We have a esteemed angler, Jeremy May, Mr. Mayhem, joining us tonight. And we had a issue with a guest. We didn't have an issue. They had an issue and something came up. So Rob and I planned on taking over tonight's podcast and talk about drop shotting. Well, Rob's not feeling well. So Jeremy said he would step in, and thank you, Jeremy.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk everything drop shot, from rigging to execution to strategies. Whether you're beginner or advanced, you should be able to get something out of this, but that's what our goal is. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So the first thing I guess to open it, we'll start talking about rods, reels, and line. Okay. For me, I don't want a rod that's very stiff. I want something with a little bit of little bit of a bend to it. So, but I don't want a wimpy rod either, because a lot of times I'm fishing these by docks or around rocks and big smallmouth. So what I use is the Arc Viper. It's a 7-foot medium heavy, extra fast. Okay. So what that's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me to set the hook into the fish and let it play out. Okay. The reel I use is a Arc reel. It's a GSS 2500. I personally like the 2500 series. Because that's all I've used. I can't get into the 3000s or 4000s like some anglers do. So, but that's it for rods and reels for me. Line, I think we may differ a little bit here. I have a backer, which is a 5-pound braid. And I'll use that, and depending on where I'm fishing, I will go to either a 6 or 8 pound K9 Pro 100% fluorocarbon. Or if I'm fishing in the weeds and around the weeds, I want a little bit more strength with my line. So I'll move up to either a 12 or a 15 pound test. So that's basically my setup. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, man. I literally have 4 drop shot rods that I throw here on the James or pretty much anywhere I travel in the country. I throw typically a 7-foot 1 Kiss Craft custom rod. It's a medium light. But I guess the medium light on this rod selection is about the same as your medium heavy with the fast tip.
Yep.
It's got a really good backbone, but it's got a really soft tip on it. So, on a drop shot, you don't set the hook, right? You lean into them. Yep. And all my drop shot rods are the same. I throw a 3000 series because I'm normally doing more casting. And I think the 3000 for me allows me to, make very accurate long casts. The 2500 to me, in how I fish, I just seem to blow all the line off the reel, or almost all of it. But the CI, I run the CI4, the 3000 series Shimano's, and it's been they're great setups. Very sensitive. These are one second here. But anyhow, these rods are very delicate, very sensitive, long casts. And another rod that I use here on the James River, this is part of drop shotting or bubba shotting, whatever you guys want to call it.
Yep.
this is a bait caster, right? As you can, this is my Bubba Shot setup. It's a 7 foot with the 8-to-1 ratio, 17-pound line, short leader to weight, and it's my go-to for the cypress knees around the James Rivers. Like, I do a lot of flipping with it around the cypress trees or whatever. Again, my leader is very short. Like, you guys can see this. It's not very long at all. There's my hook. There's my weight, maybe 8 inches tops. And it allows me to get in there and I can jack on them with a 2-aught EWG hook for my finesse, for my application. So it does help, especially when everybody else is throwing, Senkos, or they're throwing other stuff around these trees. That little, the versatility is there. So
yeah, I was fishing the James River tournament, and I was fishing with Brad Hallman, and one of his friends pulled up next to us and says, "Hey, how's your co-angler doing?" Oh, he's got like 18 pounds.
Oh my.
Yeah. Do drop shot in the cypress knees.
That wasn't the year that my co-angler won, was it?
No, that was the year after, I think.
All right. You remember that one, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that one well because I was not happy leaving that tournament.
Mm-hmm. And he caught his on the final day on drop shot, that same exact setup. So
yeah. Barking Ruger says, "Good to see y'all. Been out of pocket lately. That's all right. We understand. It's a little bit of snow in Louisiana can really mess you up.
Big time. I mean, even Virginia, it messes us all up. So
it's messing me up too because I don't have to shovel or anything, which is nice.
Nice.
And I appreciate you guys for taking the snow from us.
Yep. We got some more snow coming. So
yeah, so do we. We got about an inch over the weekend. But that's all right. Yeah. So what line do you use?
I'm a sniper. I'm a Sunline guy.
Yep.
I do throw 6-pound test, as you guys see that. All right. And then I also throw the 12-pound test. I mean, those are my 2 happy mediums for me.
Okay.
I do like the cranking 12-pound because it has a little bit more stretch. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys are familiar with stretch on any kind of line, especially if you guys throw like the hybrid lines, the P line or whatever, it's got like a monofilament kind of fluorocarbon blend where it stretches.
Yes.
To me, that is very important, especially when I'm throwing a drop shot because you're using a lighter line, open hook 9 times out of 10. And it does help. It makes a big difference when fighting that fish. It helps with the leader connection knot. And yeah, I don't lose any fishing on a drop shot 9 times out of 10. So
yeah. Since I switched to the hooks that I use now, which are the Hayabusa hooks, it seems as though once I set the hook and they're pinned, they don't come off unless my line breaks.
That's
which is a good feeling to have.
It's a
not
piece of security. So
yes. Andrew Pulliam says, "Hey guys, hey Andrew, you might want to turn off for this. You probably not going to want to know about drop shotting if you're coming up to the St. Lawrence River."
Yeah.
So, but
you're being facetious, guys.
Yes, I am. Drop shotting is worldwide, so I have some friends over in Europe and Africa, and we chat a little bit about it, and they drop shot there too.
Yep.
But so basically, when I was first taught about drop shot, it was brought to me as a redefined perch rig, because perch rig, you have 2 hooks or 3 hooks or 6 hooks or whatever with the weight on the bottom. And so the first time I tried it, I had like 3 hooks on it, and it didn't work very well.
Almost like the hibachi rig for like, it's got little things on it with little gold, like 6 or 7 hooks off here fishing.
Yeah. It didn't work well. But we have a question. Barking Rugers wants to know, what's the shallowest water you will drop shot in?
Mr. Rugers, I drop shot in 6 to 8 inches of water sometimes. Here on the James River primarily, those fish get super shallow, and that's where I'll adjust my leader, right? Here on the James, if you guys know anything about it, they don't like anything touching the bottom. So if it's touching the bottom, you're not getting bit.
Yep.
So that's where I will adjust to maybe have a 3-inch leader with a 3/0 or a 2/0 EWG, and put it in their face and go from there. So just be cautious of that one. That's my go-to, like really shallow. I don't mind going shallow with it. I'm not scared of it, but again, you have to be equipped correctly with it. You're not gonna be throwing a sissy stick, as I call it, for that application, because it's normally a meat and potatoes kind of deal. They get bit, you crank on, you're jacking on them. So.
Yep. Me, I'm about the same. I'm not afraid to throw it anywhere from 2 inches to 100 feet. And I know Jeremy doesn't run into that scenario down in the James River, but
No.
we have some deep water up here. And but no, I'll fish it. It doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes I'll switch to a bait caster like you do. If I know I'm gonna be fishing docks, so where I can pitch it and stuff like that, and go from there.
But I can't.
Hope we answered. What's that?
Go ahead.
I hope we answered his question.
Yeah. Between you and I, we got the point across. So.
Yeah, we could figure it out. Andrew says he'll drop shot. They call it power shot down there. Well, we have we got a thing like you do your bubba rig. A lot of people call that the power shot up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same thing.
Yep.
And y'all, Barking Rugers come back and says, sounds like you're doing keeping your Texas rig out of the mud.
Pretty much 100%. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The fish don't like anything on the bottom here. So
yep.
we had to make the changes, and it makes a big difference. 100%.
All right. Next we'll switch over. We talked about line. We'll go over to hooks and weights. All right. Now, I got this new box. It's the BKK OCD box. Jeremy, I'm recommending it to you.
Yeah.
Not because you're OCD or anything, but if I'm going to be fishing weeds and stuff like that, I'll go to a straight shank, a regular flipping hook. Okay. And that's the one I use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If not, I use plain old wacky rig fluoro hook or a finesse drop shot hook. I don't go over a size 1/0 for that. 90% of the time I'm throwing either a 1 or a 2/0, depending on the bait.
Bait size.
It all depends on the thickness of the bait.
Yeah.
So my weights, I'm a co-angler, and as I've mentioned before, I like to try to get an advantage over my boater. It's not easy up here. A lot of times they'll be throwing an 1/8, 3/16 1/4 ounce. Well, if he's throwing an 1/8, I'll throw a 1/4. If he's throwing 3/16, I'll go to a 1/2,
Mm-hmm.
And if he's throwing 1/2, I'll go up to 5/8, 3/4. It doesn't really matter what kind of weight is on the bottom. The drop shot weights just make it easier to adjust things.
They do. Very much.
I've actually taken an 1.25 ounces and just plopped the drop shot, which people would call what is it?
Carolina rig?
The bubba. No, close. You call it the bubba rig.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, and that's pretty much it for me. I try to keep it simple. Being a co-angler, I can't carry 1,500 pounds of tackle with me.
Yeah.
Because I try to, and the one reason I like the main reason I like these boxes is because even though I'm a co-angler, I have a bag just for what people used to call a day bag.
Mm-hmm.
Baits are
very much.
Yep. And so I'll have one of them set up in a waterproof bag and lay that right on top with all my hooks, my weights, and that I plan on using for the day. So I don't have to go in the box very much.
Yeah, see here's my my box right here. I don't know if you can see that, but this is my Dropshot box, 100%. It has all different types of 4 hooks that I use for my Dropshot. It has all my weight amenities, all the way from a 1/4 ounce or a 1/16 ounce, all the way through maybe a 1/2 ounce. That's probably the heaviest I'll throw. So, I'll go ahead and start off with my hook selection. John is I throw a 1/0, the VMC. I like the VMC, but the bait keeper to me is very, very important. I will run this one through almost like a nose hook, but it goes all the way through the bait. I don't know what you call that one, but or I will expose it, where I will actually turn the bait around and make it weedless. This bait right here, this hook right here has been phenomenal for me. It's got a little fluorocarbon keeper on there, and it does help. They're very sharp, very thin, light wire hooks. So as I'm drop shotting, it does help. However, if I get into a grassy situation or I'm fishing around a lot of cover where I happen to notice that the bait keeps sliding down on here because I'm hitting so much cover and I'm getting a hook hung up more. This hook right here, this is what I'm talking about, the VMC. I don't know if you guys can notice that or not, but it actually has, the mouth of it here is really wide, right? And it kind of sticks up. So when it comes to the bait, even if the bait is perpendicular to the hook, you will get hung up a lot. So if that happens, I go over to a 1/0 EWG. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to show you guys, but you see how this hook point is more in towards the lateral part of the hook. Yep. It does make a big difference where it stays in the bait, and I can fish around a lot of heavy cover a lot better I can with those larger, I guess, the larger round point drop shot hooks for exposing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between those two. And those two are my staples. Like, I don't throw anything else other than my Bubba Shot, 2 and 3/0 EWGs.
Yeah.
And then I jump into the nose hooks. I do throw a Gamakatsu 1/0. They're very sharp. They go right in the top of the mouth every time you lean on them. They're there. So you guys probably can't see that, but anyhow. And another thing I've been diving into too here recently, especially for dirty water applications, like here on the James, we do have a time where the fish will actually move offshore and they will suspend more often than any. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you see that the little cheater swivel right there? I will throw that on a 1/4 ounce. And what happens is with the swivel, it actually takes out all the line twists. So I'm not having a bunch of issues with my spinner rod, especially with the current or the tide, swings in between low tide and high tide. So it does make a big difference for me. Same, it's a 1/0, that's a Gamakatsu, but it's got a custom swivel on it that's already built in the hook. Again, I throw an 1/8 ounce all the way through maybe a 1/2 ounce maximum. I don't really go anything larger than that. No need for it. And I have noticed with the rate of fall, I think, especially if the fish are suspending after, post front conditions or whatever, I will play around my weight size. So if I think the fish they're suspending off the bottom a little bit, the more in the higher in the water column, I will go to a 1/8 ounce, maybe sometimes a 1/16 ounce, based off of where they're setting up the water column. So that bait's not plummeting to the bottom. It's more of a gradual fall. And I have gotten bit by making those changes. So.
Yes. And the difference between that and me is I'm looking more for the reaction strike, because being a co-angler, you don't usually get the finesse stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
Up here. You get the scraps.
But again, it's one of those things about a co-angler. I was a co-angler for many years on the Bassmaster Opens and this, that, and the other. So one thing I did learn, and it was kind of maybe shady, but I don't know if it wasn't shady. It was like taking the advantage of, All right, this guy's throwing a drop shot. He's throwing a 3/8 ounce, and he's catching fish, but they're not really. He's not really loading the boat up. So what I would do is I would go to a 16th or 8 ounce, and I would catch more fish than the guy in the front of the boat. And he'd be like, "Hey man, what are you doing different?" And I was like, "I just changed weight size. That's it." So again, tell me right there that the fish were suspending more higher in the water column versus sitting on the bottom. So.
Barking Ruger says, to snell or not to snell, does it make a difference to you? And does one knot or another make the difference based on how hard you set the hook? For me, I use a Palomar knot. The main thing is to have, when you get done tying it and setting it up, the hook is facing up. Okay, so you got the J bend going up. You don't want it going down. So.
Yeah, 100%, John. I agree with that one. All I throw is I throw a Palomar, and the trick to it is, right, like this is my bait right here. If you guys can look at the hook, I'm throwing it. This is a 5-inch Senko, and you see how perpendicular it is to the line? Hey, you coming just in time for worms, okay?
I can't hear nothing.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She loves you too, Jeremy.
No, I know she loves you
more, Jeremy.
Thank you. Anyhow, John, back to worms.
Yeah.
Anyhow, if you guys look right there, you guys can see that. You see how straight line that hook is under my line? All right, anyhow, this is a Palomar knot, and the trick to it is you take your weight line and you put it back through the knot and go down. All right, that is key to keeping this line. So if this hook right here is kind of down at an angle after you get done tying it like this, all right, that's no bueno. You're not gonna get bit as much because that bait doesn't look realistic in the water column. So you need to pay attention to those details. Those details are very critical.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Even guys up here, I talked to a couple, and as far as drop shotting, and drop shotting is very big in New York.
Really?
For the small. It might be. and I had people come up to me on the open circuit, co-anglers, and a couple of boaters say, I don't drop shot because I can't get the hook to stand up. I go, what do you mean? And I said, tie one up for me. And they tied him up, and the hook was backwards, wasn't right. I said, okay, here's what you do. You take the line, you put it through the eye, and you pull it tight, and it'll pop it up right.
Yep.
Every time. So you don't need to untie and cut and untie and cut. No, just put the line through.
Well, the trick of what I've learned, John, is when you're tying a Palomar for a drop shot, you always want to keep the hook point facing up. Like I always keep the hook point facing up. I always come in from the bottom side of the hook. I tie my Palomar knot. I cinch it tight. Again, this does not change. So I know on my line, that hook point is always referenced in the up position. And then after I get done tying the Palomar knot, I take it and put it back down through, and I snug it tight, which all the time it stays like in this direction. If it's not like this on your line, you need to retie it again because something's wrong.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So no, I've never tried tying a snell knot on it, so I don't know how it would work. A Palomar is just as easy for me to tie as anything, and it works for me, so I keep using it.
Yeah, the snell knot, man. I've tried the snell knot application, but it takes so much longer. You have another tag-in that you have to cut off, 2 tag-ins that you have to cut off from the snell knot. And I don't think it's efficient, especially if the wind's blowing 50 miles an hour up north or wherever you guys are out in the country. So.
It doesn't get that bad up here.
Oh, shut your mouth. It does. So much that I don't want to even go north unless I have to. So.
Oh, come on.
No, sorry.
Scott Knoll take you out on the Erie?
Man, I don't know, bro. I mean, I love Scott to death, but him and our wave perception is a whole lot different.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's weird because some people will say, "Hey, John, I'm coming to St. Lawrence. What should I do?" I said, "Have you ever been there before?" No. Are you going as a boater? Yes. Come up a couple weeks early if you can, or a day, and take a guide trip.
Yeah.
Hire a guide.
Experience it, man, 100%. Because if you guys are down south, right, and you've never been up north, and you think you know everything, you go up north and you get those 6-foot rollers, and you be like, what did I sign up for? It's a lot different.
Yeah.
So I didn't know I was motion sickness until I got up north. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? I
Nope.
thought you knew that ahead of time.
I had no idea.
Oh.
So my first day out for practice, I was like, shit, I need to go find a CPS and get some Dramamine, little patches, the wristbands. Yeah. Yep. Had to make some adjustments, but I fished.
You were coming out of there like a Cabbage Patch doll. You had patches all over you.
Bruh, it was terrible, man. I mean, I was going through a bottle of Dramamine a day. Like, it was, my liver and my kidneys are probably like, what are you pumping into me? So
right.
It was terrible. But anyhow.
Yeah.
But I had a good time drop shotting. So
yeah.
For 16 pounds,
it's fun.
Get a check.
What's that?
I said I had 16 pounds and didn't even get a check. So 15 pounds, whatever.
Yeah. It's tough. I remember on Oneida, like you were, probably 10 years ago, you'd probably won the tournament.
Probably.
All right. Day trading with the Nuke says, we boater us. Long as we got our shrimp boots, we can navigate any waters.
Facts, my friend. I put that on a cracker, dude.
Oh. All right. So, baits. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to?
Go ahead. I'll follow behind you.
All right. You'd mentioned one before. Stick bait. Okay. I don't like using the original Yamamoto stick bait for this because it has a tendency not to stay afloat as good as hand pours or custom baits. Okay. So I'm trying to make the bait set out as much as possible. And sometimes a Senko will drop on me unless I use like the 4-inch Senko. Then I'll put it on there. My go-to bait was made by Corey Palmer of Bass Snacks. However, he sold his company off, and now Star Lures has them. It's a Goby. Star Lures has it listed as the JCX Goby. Okay. And this is, I'll say about 85 to 90% of the time I'm fishing a drop shot, I have this on. It has a curly tail. What's that?
Is that more like a swimming worm? Like when you're like, you're being aggressive with it, or?
Yeah. It's basically a thicker with a curly tail grub. Okay. But it has a wider body, a minnow shaped body, I should say.
Do you nose hook that one more than you do anything else?
I only nose hook this one because I want it to be as free as possible.
Gotcha.
Star Lures is making them now. That's if I'm fishing real clear waters and I'm not getting bit on that, I'll go to, it's a I can't remember what he called them, but a friend of mine gave me a couple packs of these, and they're custom poured.
It looks like the X zones, the
yes,
made.
Yeah, it is. It's it was not X zone. It's a Gajo bait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's made after that. Um, next one.
Do those have a flat bottom, John? Like, are they rounded on
Yes,
top?
they do.
With a flat bottom?
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
very important.
Yes. My next one, which people are probably using them now for
Shaking a minnow.
yeah, shaky minnow. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it has a little wing on each side put out, but the color on this is it's a green pumpkin with a purple and yellow flake, but the very bottom is white, like a pearlescent.
Mm-hmm. Looks pretty sharp.
It's a very nice bait. Oh, what else do we have? Oh, this is like the what are they called? Flatworms. Okay, but it's not. It's a custom bait. This one's all chartreuse. I have them in a variety of colors, and they're
Again,
made
that
by
one's
Star. What's
Again,
that?
that one's again all nose hook, right? Those are nose hook
Yeah,
baits.
yeah, yes. What else do I have? Oh, it's the same one, different color.
Yep.
And then I did not pay the $80 a bag that they were trying to get during COVID for them, by the way. A couple other baits I didn't get off the wall. Floating worm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can text pose that one. Let's see. A Senko. I used to use a lot of different Yamamoto baits. You know, I've actually got my butt whooped by well, I don't know how to explain this. He was a boater, but let me run the boat. So he was in the back of the boat, and I was operating the boat.
He's like, oh.
And we were fishing Black Lake, and I had, I think, 15 or 16 pounds, and he was drop shotting a 7-inch blue fleck power worm on a 1/0 hook, and he had like 19, 20 pounds.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
I'm like, dude, what are you throwing?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just throwing a worm.
Yeah, strong worm.
I look back and I see this thing going through the air. I'm like, what the heck?
You're like, shit, I'm getting my ass beat out of the back and out of the front of the boat, and it's not even my boat.
Yeah. And so ever since then, if him and I fish together, he would always give me the front of the boat.
Yep. I hear you.
So, all right. Die Hard Anglers says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
He'll be on here pretty soon on our show, talk about his program. All right, Jeremy, your turn.
So, I know you had mentioned the very beginning of, talking about the baits or whatever, you stopped using the Gary Yotamoto because they weren't sitting right on the hooks.
Yes.
You may want to try the Yum. All right. The Yum baits, they're a little bit more resilient. They're not full of salt as much, but I throw them on my drop shot, especially around bridges and, around some of these cypress knees. The Yum, they actually float in the water column. So if you ever took a Senko and a Yum, the 5-inch Senko, and you dropped it in the water side by side, or a bathtub, or even your kitchen sink, you drop it in there, the Gary Yotamoto one just goes to the bottom. The Yum floats, 100% just floats, and it takes a minute, to get where it needs to go. So you may want to try that. It does, especially when the fish are on a bigger profile bite.
Yeah.
But that's one of my go-to, especially when the water is dirtier. I'm just, I have an 1/8 ounce on this Bubba shot. I'm throwing that around these cypress trees because they're small, slower presentation. It's getting down there. Now, I only throw probably 4, maybe 5 different drop shot baits, and those are my staples. I throw the Zoom trick worm, especially around the spawn time.
Yep.
I throw. I'm a big robo guy. 100% robo worm. I throw the 6-inch And then I throw the 7 just the 7-inch right here. Yeah, this is the 7-inch right here. So that's
Is that
about
the
all I
Aaron's
throw.
Magic?
It's the Magic Worm, Morning
Okay.
Dawn. Morning
Yep.
Dawn, if you guys are not familiar with throwing a Morning Dawn, you need to get with the program, okay? Because I don't care where you're at in the country, dirty water, rivers, clear lakes, especially first thing in the morning. If you guys are, it's really cold outside and you guys want a good drop shot bite, that Morning Dawn color, whether it's a 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, you need to have it tied on first thing in the morning. Hands down is one of the best bites you'll ever experience. Am I right, John?
Yeah, you're not lying.
Yeah.
And there's probably a reason I didn't pull that off the shelf.
Mhm. Well, I'm just trying to be out and be on front.
No,
right?
no.
Like, there's no
I'm joking.
So
Color, I don't know if color matters as much as people think it does, but it does for me.
well, everywhere I've experienced, man, I think color is a game changer. Like, if you guys have a confidence in these baits, and this is years of experience, this is not something I just broke out of the closet 5 minutes ago. These are my only 2 drop shot colors that I throw. I don't throw anything else. I throw this one in the morning. All right, and then I go to this one right here. This is the Blueback Secret by Missile. This one's got a little bit more transparency, but it's if you guys know anything about the bass, right? The bass are really, they dial into the greens and the reds. And this black bait series, Black Back Secret, it's got a green top, almost like a purple kind of brownish, was actually almost like a reddish version. It's a staple. And if the fish get so finicky, they're not eating that bigger worm. I throw the exact same size in a 4-inch. That's it. And this one here is about gone. So,
Well, stop eating them.
you know what? I get hungry sometimes. You know, my tapeworm gets hungry around lunchtime.
Yes, mine does too. That's why I have cookies.
Yep. But I don't have that master chef for cookies here at the house. So, yeah. Thanks for rubbing that in, John. Appreciate that.
I wasn't. I'm just saying.
Facts.
You know, I like my plastic baits for the fish, not for my belly.
That's right. But again, man, I keep it simple in my drop shots. Like I have some comfort zones, and you guys and John, you guys have your confidence drop shot lures, right?
Yes.
So you need to go out there, you know, time on the water and catching fish with these baits. It'll cut back 90% of the crap that you see at these tackle shows, online and whatnot. It'll give you a peace of mind. So when you go on there looking for drop shot worms, you already know that you're going to be catching them on this. Like, these are the staples. They work. They float very well in the water. They got good movement under proper water conditions. It's just making those those adjustments as needed throughout the day, or where you're at on the water. So.
Yes, sir. One of the key points that you'd mentioned there is comfort.
Yep.
I wouldn't recommend trying a drop shot the first time in a big tournament. Okay? Because you're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to know how the bite feels. Because sometimes you don't feel it. It just feels heavy, like a jig.
Yep.
You know, so I would definitely get out there and practice it a little bit. It's not that hard to fish. I think we as anglers try to make things more difficult than they are, because we're trying to outsmart the pea-sized brain of the fish. And well, I got excuses. I get told I have a pea brain anyway. So
it's okay. Me too. I've been married for 15 years now, so I get it. I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
So
you've been married almost twice as long as me. This time.
This time, yeah. Well, I will give you. You can turn this one to a short, John. All right. So I'm gonna give you a tip, pro tip. You ready for it? So if you guys are new to drop shotting, all right, and you throw a good braid to leader application, it's very important to let slack down on the braid after it hits the bottom and watch the braid. If the braid jumps or starts taking off, you got bit. There's a fish on there, you reel your slack down and you lean into them. Don't jack them. Just reel into them. And if you're using the proper technique as far as the hook goes, they'll be in the top of the mouth every time.
Yep.
And if you tie it backwards, the hook's upside down, it's probably going to the bottom lip. But you probably missed the fish if that's the case.
I was about to say, or you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
But no, drop shotting is probably one of the easier techniques you can use.
Yep.
It doesn't take a lot of skill. It's just like throwing a wacky rig Senko. You know,
Mhm.
it doesn't take a lot of skill. You just throw it out there and let the fish bite it.
That's right. Proper gear, proper rods, proper line, proper hooking setup is pretty much it. I mean, my kids throw it all the time. Like we went down to Florida, they were getting hung up in the grass all the time, but as soon as they let it go, the fish was right there and they ate it. And so it's a no-brainer for most people. So if it's something that you guys are not comfortable with, just give it a try. And then come back, a couple weeks and say, man, you guys were on point with that one. We would appreciate the input. So
definitely. Here's another pro tip from a pro. That tournament that you fished on Oneida Lake, I went out the third day, the third day as a marshal,
mm-hmm.
and I got paired with a guy who some people might recognize the name for smallmouth fishing, Brandon Polinick.
Oh yeah,
and some of the things he did was crazy. Like he stood on his graphs. I'm like, I'm looking up, but the one thing he did, and he always kept on shaking his rod. I asked him, I said, Brendan, do you always shake your rod drop shot? And he goes 100% of the time. Because it's making that bait go like this.
Yeah. Well, and also it's a pressure thing too. Like when the fish get really pressured after multi-day tournaments, trying to entice them to bite with that, with that high pressure with all the fishermen is very important. So that's one thing I've learned too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was just amazed at that, because before then I just throw it out there and set the hook and reel them in.
Mm-hmm.
He throws it out there, wiggles it a little bit, sets the hook and reels them in.
That's right. That's how I got my wife. I wiggled it a little bit and here she goes.
You tell
Okay.
them 4-inch Ned baits.
It is what it is. It's not the size, John. It's how you use it. Okay, get off my tail.
That's it. Shake it. John Adams. Good evening, sir.
Hey, John.
Troy Mims popped in. Says hey. Another thing that I've done, and another bait I've used is actually the Ned baits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can nose hook them on there. It looks like a turd in the water, but it catches fish.
Yeah, actually, this past weekend, I was up on the Nottoway River here in Virginia, and the water's like 40 degrees right now. It's like super cold, and I was throwing a June bug Ned rig by Z-Man on my drop shot, and I caught all smallmouth. So I was the only one that weighed in smallmouth. The fish were like sitting about 20 feet of water. I threw on an 1/8 ounce, and I probably had maybe 12 pounds of fish for 5, but smallmouth, they're very rare in this area. They only migrate down from, I guess, somewhere up in the northern parts of these rivers, the river channels. They follow the big herring down, and they're down here in the wintertime and they go back up. So, but those, that's a good point, John.
Yeah. Yeah. The key thing is for me, and I tell everybody this, fish with your comfort. You're out there to have a good time. Yeah, we're all trying to win, because if you're not trying to win, you probably shouldn't be out there. But go out, have fun, try to win, because you'll have more success when you're having fun.
Yep. And the wintertime is the best time to learn. Like the best time is the wintertime is the best time to learn how to throw a drop shot, any kind of finesse tactics. Play with your line size, play with your leader knots, just get prepared for the spring and, the post spawn or summer months. I mean, that would be a good time. Now is the time to do it. Start getting prepared. And again, if you guys have any questions or whatever, you can hit me up, hit John up, or hit Mr. Rob up. Rob's got a lot of experience fishing a drop shot, and I hats off to him. He's not here tonight. Hope he gets things, get things under control. But the drop shot's the way to go, man. The wintertime's the way to go. So,
and it's great for a co-angler.
it is fantastic.
Because you can drop it off the side of the boat and basically like a Carolina rig.
Mm-hmm.
It's a do nothing bait.
You cast it out and just bump the bottom.
Yep, that's it.
So.
Yep, and most of the time that's what I throw. My my boaters will throw something in the morning, a top water or a blade bait. I'll throw a drop shot. Because for me, I'm not out there every day practicing and stuff. So if he's throwing a top water, I'm going to the bottom. 100%. I want to, I don't want to. So now if he's getting crushed on a top water, then, if he's crushing it, my mind's saying, okay, time to switch.
Well, also he's probably not leading you much either. So
no, but if I'm getting bit, that's keying us both into the fish are down towards the bottom.
That's right.
So anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about your sponsors and stuff?
I don't think the only sponsors I really have is MGM Cold Tags. They're great. This is the first weekend I've actually got to use them this past weekend. Other than last year, the newer ones that you guys sent me were amazing. Didn't have any of them come off in the box. I pull them right up. I can recoil at number 6, put it back in there, and then also my Kisselcraft custom rods. They've been amazing to me for 7 years now. But other than that, things are great, man. Living the dream, and look forward to more of the podcast you guys have every week. You guys are doing an amazing job with it. Keep the momentum up, and even though if somebody gets sick or whatever, if you guys on the group chat, if somebody will fill in for you guys. Keep the momentum going every week, every day, and good things will come. I promise you guys. Again, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I respect you guys for that. So
we appreciate it, Jeremy, and we thank you and appreciate you for coming on and filling in and saying, "Hey, I didn't feel comfortable the way I left this show off. Can we do a retake?"
Yeah.
Why, sure we can.
Sure, let's go.
Yeah, we'll try to fit you in. And the reason why we did it on an off day was because it was fresh in our minds, and we're booking out into April now for shows.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I love it.
So, and we have added Thursday shows. Tomorrow we have Jen Nolan coming on to talk about branding. Okay.
Fantastic.
We're trying to get some things that other podcasts don't talk about, and hopefully it works for us,
Yeah, we'll keep the diversity up because I think the people like the diversity. And you may want to throw in there, just as my 2 cents, okay, it seems to be the hot trend nowadays, is the drama. Talk about something about drama, because people love drama. You say drama on any kind of Facebook, dude, they're on it like flies on poop, okay? They're on it, just saying.
Yeah.
But I don't want you guys to be a drama channel. I'm just saying sometimes you throw it in there like everybody else does. So
are you trying to say there's drama in fishing?
No, there's no drama whatsoever.
No. I think the biggest drama we have is what's your favorite cookie?
Oh, shut up, John. Okay. The one that's not burnt, okay?
No, I wasn't saying that. That was a pie. I wasn't saying that, but I mean, Rob will say snickerdoodle once in a while because he knows I don't like them.
I love macadamia nuts. They're my favorite.
Yep.
Hello here. But anyhow, I'm being paged in the house, gentlemen.
All right, buddy.
And gals, I'm going to get off here.
Appreciate you coming on. I'll take over and have a good meal. Tell everybody you said hello and be safe.
All right. Y'all take care now.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
All right, folks. Trying to get to a different screen because I want to show some. Well, it's not letting me. But anyways, there we go. That'll work. Appreciate you coming on. A couple of I mentioned all my sponsors and pro staff that I'm affiliated with throughout the program. So I'm not going to go through and list them. And some companies I'm not even affiliated with. I just like their products. But the main thing is, like I said, go out and have fun. when you're fishing. You know, we as fishermen, anglers, try to put too much undue pressure on us. And that causes stress, which causes you not to think properly, react. Time is slowed down a little bit. But I don't have anything else except for tomorrow we have Jen Nolan coming on to talk about branding, which I had mentioned. We also have a Saturday show as well. Joe Labrera, I'm sorry. He's out in Oklahoma now. I fished with him on the Potomac River probably 5-6 years ago in a MLF tournament, I believe it was. No, it was a Bass Open, I believe. But anyways, he'll be on. He's very knowledgeable. He's going to talk about social media and sponsorships. If you want to know about social media at all and sponsorships and how they coincide, please tune into that show. And everybody, thank you for watching. Rob, feel better, buddy. Missing you. I don't know what size feet Jeremy has, but they didn't fill your shoes. So y'all take care, and